Hi, I'm Toro, and welcome to Toro's History Lullabies. All my life, I've needed a little background noise to fall asleep. For years, it was just the hum of a fan or some soft static. But ever since wireless earbuds came into my life, I've found myself drifting off to podcasts and documentaries, learning and relaxing at the same time. That's why I started making these videos. Calming stories from history, told gently, to help you unwind, learn something new, and hopefully fall asleep a little easier. So get comfortable, close your eyes if you'd like, and let's step quietly into the past. And if you enjoy these stories, I'd love it if you gave the video a like and subscribed for more. Sweet dreams.
The World in 1902. Hello, dear listener. I'm Toro, and I'm so glad you're here. Take a deep breath, let your shoulders drop. Let the hush of night settle over you like a soft quilt. Tonight, I invite you to drift backward with me. Back to a quieter time, over a century ago. Back to the gentle unfolding of the year. 1902. A world still lit by lamps and warmed by coal stoves. A year when steamships carried letters across oceans, and pianos rang in parlors on quiet evenings. Let's travel there together. Not in haste, but with peace. Let the stillness of history rock you gently. Let each moment from long ago feel like a dream half remembered. This is not a tale of grand battles or loud headlines, but of soft revolutions, shifting seasons, and everyday hearts. Settle in now. Let the story of the world in 1902 lull you to sleep. Globe showing Europe-Africa world events as the sun rose on 1902. The world moved quietly in its rhythms. Nations, empires, and islands in the sea, each drifting through the tides of change. In the United Kingdom, the long echoes of the Boer War faded into quiet resolution. On May 31st, a peace agreement was signed, the Treaty of Vereeniging. It brought an end to years of conflict in South Africa. A ceasefire whispered into history, not with triumph, but with fatigue and hope. The empire remained, but its corners softened just slightly. The veldt rested. The people exhaled. In Japan, the Meiji era continued to bloom. Emperor Meiji's quiet modernization pressed onward. Railways snaked through mountains, telegraphs ticked across cities. A once isolated kingdom was gently weaving itself into the world's future. No rush, just a slow, thoughtful blending of tradition and tomorrow. Across the Atlantic, the United States welcomed a new year with President Theodore Roosevelt at the helm. Young and energetic, he believed in speaking softly and carrying a big stick, though for now, his presidency drifted in relative calm. The Panama Canal, a dream carved through jungle and stone, began moving from French hands toward American plans, still just blueprints and muddy ground, but full of ambition. Far to the north, in a crisp and frosty corner of the world, Norway and Sweden shared a crown, but only just. Tensions simmered beneath royal dinners and polite diplomacy, like ice creaking on a frozen lake. Still, in 1902, things held firm. The quiet before a peaceful parting yet to come. Meanwhile, in the Philippines, another war grew quieter. The Philippine-American conflict slowed, and many in the islands turned toward rebuilding, gathering threads of identity in the early morning of nationhood. And overhead, Mount Pelee, on the island of Martinique, had just roared awake the year before, sending ash and fire through the skies. But by 1902's close, the skies were calmer. The Caribbean breeze returned. Nature, too, finds rest after storms. So the world in 1902 breathed in again. Some places with peace, others with patience, all with time. How's daily life around the world? What did a Tuesday feel like in 1902? Let's begin in a quiet English village. Mornings begin with the clink of a kettle on a cast-iron stove. The scent of coal smoke drifts through lace curtains. Children in knickerbockers and pinafores dash out the door, books strapped in leather satchels, on their way to schoolhouses with chalk slates and inkwells. Shops open with a creak and a bell. A grocer sweeps his stoop. A baker dusts flour from his apron. Horse-drawn carts bring milk in glass bottles, still cold from the dawn. In Paris, cobbled streets echo with the rhythm of carriage wheels. Ladies with parasols wander markets filled with chestnuts and cheese. Cafes hum with quiet chatter, strong coffee steaming in porcelain cups, a newspaper folded just so beside a croissant. Far away in India, under the slow turning of ceiling fans, families rise with the heat. Spices sizzle in brass pans, cumin, turmeric, clove, filling air that tastes like morning. Cotton saris are pleated with care, and woven mats are dusted clean. In New York, the skyline stretches upward with steel. Elevated trains rattle through the air. Newsboys shout headlines on corners, while gas lamps flicker, not quite replaced by electric light. Factory whistles call workers to days of effort and rhythm. But at night, piano songs float through brownstone windows, and stoops become evening parlors. In the countryside of Russia, peasants till frozen soil, their hands wrapped in wool. Samovars bubble in dachas where the snow piles high. The Orthodox calendar marks holy days, and birch trees stand like watchful friends outside each home. Meanwhile, in Africa, life varies across vast lands. In Egypt, boats drift along the Nile. Papyrus rustles, and markets bloom with textiles and dates. In the South, communities rebuild slowly from recent upheaval, holding stories close and time even closer. So many lives, so many morning smells, evening sounds, and quiet joys. The world in 1902 spun gently, a patchwork of quiet, everyday wonders. Microscope science, inventions, and technology progress in 1902 did not always arrive with fanfare. Often, it slipped quietly through the seams of daily life. In a Paris laboratory, Marie Curie continued her work with silent devotion. That year, she and her husband Pierre refined their studies on radioactivity, an invisible force, glowing softly in hidden ways. The world was only beginning to understand the strange light beneath the surface. Elsewhere, the Wright brothers, Orville and Wilbur, tinkered patiently in their bicycle shop in Ohio. They tested gliders at Kitty Hawk, watching wings catch wind for seconds at a time. Though their first powered flight was still a year away, in 1902, the air already whispered of what was coming. Electricity began to hum its way into city blocks. Light bulbs replaced gas lamps in pockets of the world, one glowing filament at a time. Inventions like the vacuum cleaner and electric fan began appearing in catalogs, promising comfort to a growing middle class. The typewriter clacked steadily in offices, and telegrams tapped across continents. The world shrank slightly, even if only in words. A young German physicist named Albert Einstein, not yet a household name, submitted his first scientific paper that year. It was about capillary action, simple, perhaps, but a small seed in a mind full of galaxies. Science in 1902 was not flashy. It moved like a river under ice, quiet, slow, full of quiet force. Musical score culture and the arts in parlors and theaters, creativity bloomed softly. Claude Debussy's music floated through concert halls, his Clair de Lune, as gentle as moonlight on silk. Audiences sat in velvet chairs, eyes closed, lost in sound that felt like dreams. In literature, Beatrix Potter published the tale of Peter Rabbit, a small book with gentle watercolor pages. Children across the English-speaking world turned those pages and imagined hedgehogs in aprons and rabbits in blue coats. In Russia, Leo Tolstoy, aged and contemplative, continued to write and reflect. Though his great epics were behind him, his quiet thoughts on peace and morality rippled outward. The world of visual art moved too. In Barcelona, a young Pablo Picasso sketched in blues, his blue period unfolding in melancholy hues, painting the forgotten and the poor with dignity and silence. Theaters flickered with early cinema reels. In Paris and New York, silent films drew gasps and laughter. Black and white images danced across screens, accompanied by the soft pitter-patter of piano keys. And everywhere, from African drums to Irish ballads, folk music lived on, not in concert halls, but in kitchens, fields, and firelit rooms. Art in 1902 was not a shout. It was a lullaby, sung across continents. Newspaper media and headlines in 1902, news came folded in thick paper, pages inked with smudgy headlines and delicate fonts. People read the Times in London, Le Figaro in Paris, and the New York Tribune in the United States. A loaf of bread might cost a few cents, a newspaper just won. Readers curled up with tea or tobacco, catching up on diplomacy, royal sightings, and the weather. Cartoons filled the back pages. Serial novels unfolded in chapters week by week. And for many, the news arrived not in print, but in the gossip of cafes, the murmur of trains, or the sermons of Sunday. The world talked and listened. People born/died in 1902. The world welcomed new voices and bid quiet farewells to others. That year, Ray Kroc was born, a name that would one day become tied to fast food's golden arches. Langston Hughes also came into the world, whose poetry would sing of rivers, dreams, and America. Back then, they were only babies, eyes blinking at gaslight, wrapped in muslin and lullabies. And as life began, it also gently ended. Cecil Rhodes passed away, an industrialist and colonial figure whose legacy would echo across lands and decades. The earth turns, names change, but the heartbeat of humanity goes on. End-of-year reflection. As 1902 drew to a close, the world sighed in snow and starlight. In the northern hemisphere, chimneys puffed gentle smoke, and frost kissed window panes in crystal lace. Families gathered close, sharing stories and songs, the same songs sung by their grandparents and by their children after. In warmer lands, cicadas chirped beneath palm trees. The rhythm of life remained slow, as the old year folded itself like a well-worn coat, tucked away in memory. Newspapers speculated about inventions. Children dreamed of electric toys, and mothers quietly hoped the new year would be easier than the last. It was not a year of great shouts, but of murmurs, of beginnings in the soil, of whispers toward the sky. Somewhere, a girl read a book by candlelight. Somewhere, a boy sketched machines in the dirt. Somewhere, two people fell in love on a bench by a frozen pond. This was 1902, a quiet moment between centuries, a year of breath and softness. And as the calendar turned to 1903, the world moved forward once more, step by gentle step. Thank you, dear listener, for drifting through the past with me. If this story brought you peace, please consider liking, subscribing, and joining us again next time for another soft, dreamy chapter in Toro's History Lullabies. Until then, sleep gently, and may your dreams be stitched with time. Good night.